Hi there. Well, today we're going to make Cincinnati chili, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm really trying to make it a super healthy recipe. It's a really delicious recipe made generally with ground beef. So I'm making it today with Impossible Burger and actually some uh, extra firm tofu instead of beef because it's better cholesterol wise, fat wise, and also the impact on the earth because when we grow beef, it really has quite an impact on the earth as compared to this vegetable based product that tastes like burger but doesn't have to be grown out in huge fields and taking down the rainforest to do it. So that's what we're going to do today. It's a really simple recipe. That's the other thing I like to do as far as eating healthy. A lot of times we don't cook for ourselves because it's too much time consuming stuff. And what you're going to see with this recipe, it takes about 20 minutes. What I've done is gather all the ingredients ahead of time. But even that takes 5 minutes. Just pull things out of the pantry or out of the refrigerator. And then it's very, very, very quick to do. So what we're going to start with is actually 2 onions. And I've already kind of prepped those so that you don't have to watch me cut an onion, which is rather unfascinating, I would think. So, but what we're going to do is just start cooking this on the stove in a big pot. And this is a one pot meal, super simple. And we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. And I know you have this recipe or have access to this recipe, and you can see that it's really quite a fun recipe to work on. So first thing we're going to do is kind of just toss these onions here into the pan and let them sort of brown. Take 3 to 5 minutes, something like that. And that's all you kind of really need to do. So we're going to give that a little bit of time to saute up. And I'm reading my recipe. I like one of these things that I actually won this in a church bazaar. Really nice to have this recipe board really close to everything you're doing. So what it says is in a deep skillet, add oil, then brown the onions. And then what we're also going to do is brown the Impossible Burger, which you'll see kind of looks like hamburger, doesn't it? So we're going to put this all in together and start browning up. And then what I've done is a little twist as well. Impossible Burger costs about $6 for a package. So instead of using 2 packages of Impossible Burger, what I've done is added extra firm tofu. And what I did was I took my little blender here and chopped it up to, smash it up into a fine amount, which is great. If you don't have one of those blenders, just take a fork and mash it up. So first I'm going to break this Impossible Burger up. And we've got this on like a medium high to get this going. And you just kind of break it up like you would if you had a hamburger package. And then I'm going to wait to add the tofu because tofu by itself doesn't really have any flavor. It gathers the flavor of whatever you're cooking it with. So I don't need to add that right now. I'm going to wait until I add all the other spices and things that will be going into this recipe. So once this kind of sautés up, and let's say it's 10:12, 10:15, I'll start adding some of the other ingredients. And so the unique thing about this chili is, as compared to a typical red chili, is the ingredients in it are slightly different. And we're going to have things in it like allspice, cloves, cumin, pepper, salt, a little bit of red pepper. The recipe calls for a teaspoonful. I don't like my stuff so hot, so I do a 1/4 teaspoonful. And then for people who really like it hot, they can add like a Texas Pete or something later. So all of these things I've actually mixed up together in one little bowl so that when it is time to add the spices, everything will go in at once. So let me come back here and start looking at what we've got. It's sauteing up rather nicely. And you know, the interesting thing about Impossible Burger is it does look just like beef. And when you're browning it like this, just like if you had like a package of regular ground beef, it's going to go from a red to a brown, and then that's when you kind of know it's ready to roll. So once that happens, then we will add all these spices. We'll add the tofu. We're going to add some tomato sauce. And it goes into this one bowl or this one pan, and it's going to cook for about an hour and kind of steam down. And it ends up being like a spaghetti sauce. In fact, we're going to put it over spaghetti. but it's uniquely different because of all these wonderful spices. And then the other really interesting thing is you add chocolate. I know that sounds crazy, but you will be amazed when you put all these spices together how tasty this is. I've never made Cincinnati chili where people haven't gone, oh my God, that is just incredible. And when you think about how easy it is to make and how fast it is to make, it's just a game changer. There's just no way around it. And what I'm really trying to get people to understand, like when we come back to life puzzle making, right? Nutrition is a cornerstone. I've always told the story that for myself, learning how to take care of myself and feed myself correctly changed my whole life. Because as I always say, every piece impacts the whole. So when I'm eating well, it impacts how I'm feeling. And so if I'm eating great, my mood is up, I'm happier, I'm healthier. That's going to impact how I think, how I communicate, how I make choices in my life, how I participate in my relationships at work, my family, the community, everything. And I just, as many problems as people have with nutrition in our culture, we have an obesity epidemic. Lots of people have never been taught how to cook. Learning how to do this for yourself is not that hard. And I'm going to add some more classes on the YouTube channel to show people how easy it is to do this. True confessions, I started teaching people how to cook and doing nutrition demos when I had a job in my early 20s at a health food store. And one day they said, hey, would you teach this good for you school? And I'm like, yeah. And then I realized I didn't really know how to do it. So I had to teach myself before I could teach people. And I've been doing that ever since. And it's kind of what helped evolve me into creating the life puzzle and recognizing as I changed my diet and went from a very depressed, kind of frustrated person into a much healthier, vibrant person, I started to ask other questions. They didn't teach me nutrition. What else did I need to know? And that's what birthed all these 16 core areas, 5 edges that create the self in the life puzzle. Is we weren't taught how to make whole and dynamic lives, but we can teach ourselves. And so my onions and everything, yep, I'm plenty good to go. So here's what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add the tofu and just mix that in. No big deal. It's crumbly just like a hamburger would be. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, which might seem a little bit crazy, but trust me, it ends up working. 1. And you don't have to worry about if you spill over. It's no big deal. No one's going to arrest you. There are no kitchen police that come and say, wait, you put in 2 and you should only put in 1. The other thing we're going to add is some Worcestershire sauce, 1 whole tablespoon of that as well. Okay. And then from there, we're going to add tomato sauce. This is 1 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Just throw that in. So this kind of gives you at least a hint of what a chili might look like, but trust me, it's not enough tomato sauce to make that big of a difference. Then we're going to add spices. Okay, that's salt, pepper, cayenne, cloves, allspice. What's the other one? Cinnamon. Yes, and all that. And then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. Now it's set, ideally you would do fresh, but I'm kind of lazy sometimes, so I'm just going to do a teaspoonful of garlic mixed into there. And we're going to stir that up a little bit. And then just get that going. And then to that, we're going to add about I think it's a 1/2 ounce of chocolate. Yep, 1/2 ounce of chocolate, which I've measured out before. So you don't really need to worry about cutting it up because trust me, I'm going to do a little one more after that. It's going to melt itself, so you don't need to cut it at all. Just pop it in based on how you can get that kind of assessed. So spices, okay, and then we're going to add 4 cups of water right here, right here. Okay, all the ingredients are in now, and we're going to turn it up on high and bring it to a boil. And then once it's boiling, we're going to reduce it down to like a medium and let it cook for about an hour and thicken up. And then once it's all thickened up, we will plate it with some pasta. I've already made the pasta ahead of time. And so now we're done. We've been cooking this for an hour, and I want to show you that it has really firmed up nicely into a nice sauce, just like if you were doing a spaghetti sauce. One other option you could do is when you first make this, put it into a crock pot. It might be the perfect thing, like you're going off to work for the day, so stick it in a crock pot on low for the whole day, and that will work out too. But if you are just making it fresh, an hour on the stove will thicken it up nicely, and then you'll be able to just pour it over some pasta. And I have already pre-cooked the pasta, but obviously you would cook that in between, letting this hour of cooking happen and finish it up. One other thing I've done as well is given you the option to use spaghetti squash instead of regular spaghetti. For a lot of us, we're watching our weight, we don't want to eat a lot of pasta, and so spaghetti squash baked while this is cooking, and then scrape it out and use that as what you're gonna pour the Cincinnati chili over, and it works out as wonderful. And if you're trying to sneak some vegetables in for your kids, this is one of those ones that most kids like because it reminds them of spaghetti, and it's sweet and it's easy to eat. So you could either do a mix, sneak it into the spaghetti, or just do it plain that way. And then what you're going to do is top it with cheddar cheese. I took a block of cheese and again used my little handy dandy blender to chop this all up. You can buy it pre-chopped if that's easier for you. However, cost-wise and health-wise, it's better to just take the block of cheese, and it's just easier to do it yourself, especially because when you have it pre-ground up, they have to add some stuff to keep it from sticking, and you don't really need that additive. You could just go with the straight whole cheese. And so there we have it. Cincinnati chili, a quick and easy meal that anybody can make. You'll have numerous servings, just like a pot of spaghetti sauce. And so you could have 2 or 3 servings, and it's very affordable food to make, nutritious as can be, and really helps you build your life puzzle and build it in this nutrition piece, but impacting so many other areas of your life as well. So I hope you'll give it a try. Life puzzle, a piece at a time with the whole you in mind. Thanks for being here today.